Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Alternative Jargon episode number 42. We've got a special guest today. This is Luke Wilson, my one buddy, slash former classmate. We both just graduated from college. We got to walk together. So Luke, how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Yo, thanks for inviting me on, man. This is crazy.
Yeah,
everybody, how you doing?
I'm going to go ahead and let Luke plug his YouTube channel here at the beginning. Not everybody always listens to the end, so Luke makes really great YouTube content. If you're into video essays, I'm just going to let him say for himself, but if he doesn't want to boast his subscriber count, I'll do it for him. He's at 9,000 subs right now, so give him an overview of your channel.
Yeah, I apologize for the air conditioning sound, by the way. I just turned that off, so it should be a little nicer. But, everybody. My YouTube channel is LukeWilsonTV. Like David said, we're at 9,000 subscribers, which is crazy. I don't know. My channel, I guess it's mostly pop culture video essays. I do a lot of anime stuff because that tends to get a lot of views, but I also dip into things like AI and... I did a video about, like, the secrets of the universe, and I tend to kind of go into bigger topics like, like the history of humanity and what certain things are, like, where cell phones fit in as far as, like, human innovation over our history and other things like that. But for the most part, it's pretty laid back, a lot of just familiar movies and video games and pop culture stuff. So, yeah, if you're into that, if you're into the kind of stuff you can just put on and listen to in the car, then, go check out my channel, I guess. And if you're not into that, then... I appreciate you listening to me talk about it.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. We've got a lot of stuff we could get into, but I guess the Drew Gooden AI video that just came out. I'll tell you one thing. Some of these TikTok editors deserve like $100,000 a year for what they do. The Drew Gooden video dropped, and like 20 minutes later, there's like a Drew Gooden AI edit on TikTok with like crazy like After Effects animations with some of the stuff he was saying. Those people deserve a raise. But I don't know about you. You said you had some strong opinions on this, but yeah. I think I mostly agreed with everything he said about the human creativity that goes into content creation and things like that. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about it too.
Well, I definitely agree that those TikTok editors should get a raise because they really do a good job of taking kind of a mundane statement and making it seem like it's the end of the world. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Drew Gooden. He's one of the OGs. He's funny. He's a comedian at his core, I would say. But yeah, I agree with a lot of the things he said. I mean, pretty much everything in the video I agree with. It's just... like my main issue, and I know I'm speaking because I'm the authority on everything AI and I'm the expert on, everything here, but his message was that AI is ruining the internet, and the sheer fact that he knew that video would get a big response goes counter to his point that AI is ruining the internet, because the fact that he knew that so many people agreed with him on that point, it shows that AI is not ruining the internet, it's exposing all of the crap that's already been going on the internet. And again, the people who watch his content are there for entertainment purposes. If they wanted to learn about AI, they would go to some AI YouTube channel and listen to a lecture about AI, so I understand that. And I also understand that as an entertainment content creator, he's not always doing all that kind of research, and he's just there to do kind of commentary and sort of deliver it to the people who, again, don't really want to do all the research. So, initially it bothered me that the only things he seemed to bring up were popular memes, like, guys, did you know that Google told people to put glue in pizza cheese, man? It's like, all right, like, that's a little outdated at this point, like I saw that a couple weeks ago. But again, like, I agree. All the things he pointed out were negative, especially talking about, people making, people stealing other people's content to make shorts out of, or people making crappy, AI-generated stock video and music, which is, ripped off of other people's stock video and music or people's original content. I agree with that, but again, his point that it's ruining the internet is not true, because all it's doing is promoting the idea that humanity and creativity is important, And we're seeing now so many innovative creators rising on the YouTube platform, That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do as much, stuff as I can to try and innovate on the traditional format, and it seems to be working. And I think, again, not to drone on more about this, but I think, talking about or criticizing Facebook content has always been a thing. So the fact that he's criticizing boomers for liking AI generated Facebook content, again, that's kind of an old opinion, because boomers have always kind of fallen for that, crappy Facebook content. So, it was that kind of stuff that, initially bothered me. But again, I understand. It's just because we have seen this, we've been in college during this AI stuff. We kind of saw a lot of this coming. So I can understand why it feels like, it's the end of the world, or that the dead internet is taking over. So yeah, I don't know. I just kind of threw out a lot, but I don't.
I was actually just gonna get into what you last said about dead internet theory and a lot of those Facebook AI posts. I follow a Twitter account that reposts a lot of those, and they all have tens of thousands of likes and comments and shares. Do you think dead internet theory is plausible and real? Because to me, there's a picture of Jesus Christ driving a bus full of children off a cliff with an angel, like stuff like that. There's no way. I don't care how senile some of these people are on Facebook. I don't think they can look at that and believe it's real and like it and share it. Do you think that's bots, or what do you think that is?
I think it probably is a lot of bot interaction. Like, I've heard the point made that a lot of interaction with those AI generated accounts are other AI generated accounts, and they're just kind of spiraling themselves into oblivion, where they're all kind of pulling, and if it's like 10,000 likes on every single post, it's kind of an indication that it is like 10,000 bots that are all kind of in their enclosed ecosystem. But at the same time, a lot more people are getting access to the internet, and ever since smartphones came out, it's been really easy for people to get online. And Facebook, the Facebook app makes it really easy for older people to get online. It's not just the fact that people in the past used Facebook and it's still relevant. It's that, it's kind of catered towards that older crowd, because of how simplistic it is. It's not, I don't know. The way they handle that app, they know their audience. And I feel like there are a lot of really lonely old people who kind of have nothing better to do than to just scroll all day and send each other crappy memes and stuff. And I think it also speaks to a bigger point about new technology being used to take advantage of older people and younger kids, those two really vulnerable demographics. So I would say dead internet, it's true in certain demographics.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff, I think one thing today is so much stuff that's out there is just throwaway content, stuff that's made to get 1,000 likes today, and tomorrow everyone will forget about it. And I mean, that's part of the double-edged sword of it's great that everyone can make stuff today, and it's like, oh, everyone can make stuff. Somebody who has zero background in media, things like that. And that sounds so mean to say, but I hope you get where I'm coming from. Yeah. Like somebody who doesn't, I guess they're making stuff not to like make something artistic or something that will stand the test of time, but just throwing stuff out there. Definitely, you can tell when something's made quality wise, and you can tell when it's not. Yeah,
that's actually, you bring up a good point, that people can tell what's quality and what's not, generally. But there are people who can't. And that throwaway content is also, that's another thing that I'd like to bring it up in a video or something, but it's really hard to find a place to put it in. I notice, once I started watching anime, right, I started getting more anime stuff in my feed and on my Explore page, and 95% of it is literally just reposts or just basic meme formats with just the characters' faces stacked, plastered on there. And it's like, you have lots of people going, yeah, I know what that is. I recognize what that is. I'm going to send it to my friends because they know what this is too. And I'm going to feel good about belonging to something. That's a really awful generalized way of putting it. But yeah, to an extent, it's true. And it is what kind of powers a lot of that throwaway content, because it is just, there doesn't have to be a lot of effort put into it because, again, people only really care about the stuff they recognize. In this case, it would be the IPs that they, that they see their favorite memes a part of. I don't know.
I will say one of the best feelings in the world is when you're into something that's not totally mainstream and you find somebody out there who makes really good quality stuff covering that thing.
Yep.
Because if you're into something, everyone's in their own little bubble. Everyone's got a show or a band or anything that they're into that they don't really maybe know someone in real life who's into as well. But then you find somebody random on the internet who is probably so much further down that rabbit hole than you are, and they have, a whole channel based off of it, a whole page. That's the best feeling. Like,
it's like, yeah, I'm not totally lame. Like, look.
Exactly. Because you can look, like, if you just stumbled across a new thing that you're getting into and you look it up, there's going to definitely be stuff out there about it, but it might be a YouTube video with, a YouTube video that was made in Windows Movie Maker. So that's a great feeling. So those people are saviors for me, the ones that actually put quality effort into stuff that not everyone knows about.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, too, like fan accounts, it's like, for lack of a better term, they're just kind of like meat-sucking accounts. It's like, it's like just, again, you're capitalizing off of the IP. You're not capitalizing off of the actual effort you're putting in, and people can tell the difference. I like to say that audiences are made up of cats and dogs. You have the dogs who will just show up and go, yes, I love it, yes. And then there's the cats who will be like, nah, I don't really know. I don't really want to be associated with those dogs over there,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, do you think that's, like, that corresponds to media literacy?
Yeah, I would say so. Because, again, like, as media college students, we, got, the media literacy was a big part of our, I guess, college journey, whatever you want to call it. But, more people are becoming media literate, but there's so many curtains, and every time you look behind a new curtain, you get a little more judgmental of the stuff you see. Yes, you're aware of the influences and, how to make content that people actually respond to, but at the same time, you do get more critical. And I think as more people become media literate and they see that, the mainstream news is just kind of, again, dumbing things down for a general audience, you start to become more critical of it, and you look for better alternatives that have more heart and effort and humanity put behind them. And I think that that's part of the bigger thing, where someone like Drew Gooden might feel like, people are accepting more of the AI-generated stuff, but I think it's kind of pulling back more curtains and causing more people to see, the difference between quality and not quality.
Yeah, and I think media literacy also comes full circle a lot, too. Like, when I was a kid, something on the internet as simple as a video of a cat doing nothing would amuse me.
Yeah.
And then you grow up, and we all grew up with the internet, and you sort of explore how that works more in depth, how the stuff you see is made and by who and all that type of stuff. And then you sort of go, like, you develop content preferences that are super specific, and, like, it's harder to find stuff that scratches that itch, I guess. But then for me, it does come full circle back to where, like, okay, I don't need to watch something with high production value. If I see a TikTok of a cat doing nothing again, it will amuse me as much as it did when I was 10 years old. Because as much as I like to see, I guess, stuff that's well made, it's also just nice to see somebody taking a picture of their cat. Like,
yeah. Well, I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no, I'm good.
I think there's kind of two things that I'd like to relate that to. So, cat memes. When I was a kid, I would sit on the stairs to the upstairs, and I would look up funny cat memes on Google Images, and I would just find these impact font memes like the "I can has cheeseburger," and it's like, that compared to, some of the stuff now, just the highly edited, deep fried, just layers and layers and layers. You can see there is more value, but I think there's also the cultural value to it as well. Like, the I can has cheeseburger thing still makes people laugh because despite being so simple, it was so instrumental in what came after it. So, maybe it's the nostalgia thing, or maybe it's the, just the novelty of how low effort it was, or how dumb it was, or how much of a product of its time it was. But at the very least, it speaks to how humor can come from more than just effort. If somebody, like minimalism, for a while, minimalism kind of sold online, where people would just put a word as their title and blah, and it's like, people would click on it. And now even that's kind of worn out. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I don't know. You really have to read the room again if you want to cater content to people. It's just so many layers of media literacy, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into minimalism. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did see you made a video about the return of Frutiger. How do you say it? Frutiger Arrow?
Yeah.
And I love that. I know the minimalist stuff, I understand why it exists. If you make a brand, for most things, you want your word mark and your logo to be applicable to a TV commercial or on a shipping label box or anywhere. Yeah. So I understand why that minimalism exists, but I do think we are kind of seeing a resurgence of maximalism type of stuff. Mm-hmm. I know whenever I first made this podcast and I was trying to think of a name and a logo and stuff like that, the first thing I knew is that it wasn't going to be like a boring logo. If you Google search podcast logo, everyone has a mic with a word above it. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm going to make my thing like flashy, multicolored and in your face, because why not?
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, in every kind of space where there's a popular trend, doing the opposite is a great way to stand out. And I think, the minimalism trend on YouTube, I think is a little separate from the minimalism trend in like graphic design as a whole, or in the media industry as a whole, because that started a long time ago. People started doing one-word movies a long time ago, and they, that just, it's so, like, it's not cool or novel. At the time it was cool and novel, but nowadays there's no purpose behind it other than to just fit in with the trend. And it's like, again, like, I don't know. It takes a lot of the value out of it, because you can see it is kind of a lack of effort to innovate. It's not interesting anymore. And on YouTube, I think it kind of burned out pretty quick. I think about like Moist Critical, a lot of his videos are just very simplistic, but he kind of took that on as his own thing. And then you have people, I don't know if you've seen Zachary Smigel or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's done those like why YouTube feels different. And he basically just spammed that button for like a couple months and burned out. He can't do that format anymore. I don't know. It's one of those things that you just have to do it with a purpose and be careful with it. I guess as far as maximalism, I think it is kind of like a middle finger to the minimalism trend, because so many people are just tired of it, and it's still around. Businesses are still doing that basic geometric characters with blue faces and purple hair, and it's like, come on, like, you gotta show a little more effort. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want like a product that's sold to be fun to look like a health insurance logo,
Yeah, or like McDonald's looking like a bank nowadays. Like,
yeah. I talked about that like last year in my one podcast, and I said, you don't know, when you walk into McDonald's, you aren't sure if you're going to get a Big Mac or a flu shot these days, because until you hear the beeping from the kitchen, you think you might be at a health clinic.
Like a blind person walks in there, well, I guess they would have to be, their smell would have to be messed up too, but yeah.
Yeah. The Moist Critical thing, that one always gets me. Nothing against the guy. I don't know if you're a fan. I have nothing against him, but it does seem like he will take, this is going to sound mean, but the most bland take on whatever the current thing is, and talk about it for 20 minutes and get 5 million views. And I've always been curious about that type of thing. I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I'm sure what he's trying to say is just what he thinks, but that's something I've noticed about his stuff.
Yeah, I think especially with the he does a lot of videos about like internet creeps, or not internet creeps, but like dudes who are being creepy. I think he kind of does that to be like a counterweight to the kind of lonely incel guys on the internet, you know?
That's a good point.
I think a lot of his viewer base he knows is like lonely kids who are terminally online, and by being kind of like a basic positive influence, he sets a standard, you know, like you should eat right, you should exercise, you should, you know, do all this stuff. And even if the people watching it aren't doing that, it's still a standard for them that isn't just their parents, you know. He's a really positive role model on younger guys, I think. And I do agree, like I like him because I think he's funny, but at the same time, like I laugh at the takes that he has that I don't agree with. I think some of the stuff, like, I don't know, I think every once in a while he plays up the stinky, ooey gooey language a little too much. But on the whole, I appreciate, you know, what he does. And I don't know, I just think he's, I agree. I think his takes are a little bland sometimes, but again, there's nothing wrong with that. And he does have some hot takes too, so whatever. But yeah, the minimalism thing, again, I think he kind of took that on as his own thing, and people try to imitate that. I mean, I even tried to imitate that with my content for a little bit. I was putting out like 2-minute videos that were, you know, I was just kind of testing the waters and seeing like, you know, what if I did a thing like in his style? Would that work? And it doesn't work. He's the only one who can really do it.
What do you think about Twitch streamers? Because I think it's definitely more of a younger kid thing, but it seems like every few months a new Twitch streamer really blows up and I guess breaks through that seal of they're known everywhere now, not just on Twitch. I personally don't understand it, and I try so hard to, because these people are incredibly popular. They're making insane amounts of money, and I want to hear what you have to think about it, because I just don't understand the hype around Twitch. I
think I actually did some live streaming a lot over COVID. Like in 2020, I started doing streaming. I would do like, I'd wake up, I'd do class, I'd stream for 2 hours, I'd eat lunch, I'd stream for 2 more hours, I'd do class, and then that'd be the end of my day. So I was streaming a lot, and it really wasn't until I started dedicating pretty much my whole life to it that I started to see growth. And I think that Twitch kind of started out as one of those like, quirky internet like thing for like edgy people. It was like its own little thing. I don't know. Maybe like Adult Swim is a good way of putting it, where it's like it's its own little unique ecosystem that people, you either get it or you don't, and because of the mysteriousness, there's kind of like a lore to it, because I didn't really get it. Even when I started streaming on there, I didn't get it. What the heck are bits? What are subs? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Nowadays, I think the company has been really mismanaged. It's also owned by Amazon, so there you go. That's already a big problem. When it's owned and managed by a giant corporation, they start to kind of get out of touch, especially if it's something small that grew into something big. They don't really keep tabs, or they don't really do as much research into the roots. There's been a lot of criticism into the way that the platform was run up until they got a new CEO recently who seems to be doing a better job. But yeah, I think it's either all or nothing. And I think a lot of the viewer base nowadays is people who kind of are terminally online, or people who just, they kind of live on the internet, so younger kids, they have nothing to do. They just have it on. The only time I really watch live streamers is when I'm doing something at like midnight and somebody's on, and I'm like, hey, I'll put them on my other screen, whatever. And you look in the comments and stuff, and it's just people, it is totally like a parasocial thing, there's no real way to have that sort of community online, that constant feedback, unless you're in something like Discord, or that's about it. That's the only thing I can come up with, because streaming gives you immediate feedback. You can converse with people, and like Discord servers give you that. And it seems like both of the people who do that are kind of in a similar camp. It is the kind of lonely or very much online people, a lot of times in the younger crowd.
Yeah, I know, like the 3 names that come to mind that have really exploded from streaming, like the iShowSpeed guy, Jinxie, what's the other
XQC.
one? Yeah, and though, like, it's nothing against those guys. Like, I think they've done funny stuff, but But then you like these guys are going on talk shows, they're on every podcast. They're like meeting Cristiano Ronaldo and they're traveling the world, and I'm like, I don't get it, and it makes me feel like a boomer because like I considered like I feel like I can look at almost anyone and see why they're successful, but those are the hardest ones I have. Like I have a hard time figuring out that success because it's not just like internet success, it's transcending, and not everyone meets Cristiano Ronaldo, let alone some dude who streams and yells at the camera.
I would attribute it to three things. One, being owned by Amazon. When you're attached to a large company, you get a lot of PR benefits. Two, I would say probably a large younger audience. Someone like iShowSpeed, like older people think he's funny and stuff, but they don't really watch him. They just kind of watch the highlights and stuff. It is kind of a lot of the younger kids, like a lot of the edgy, like high school kids, maybe even into middle school kids who, really like him. I feel like anyone I've ever seen that is obsessed with iShowSpeed. Now, again, younger kids are more likely to be obsessed with things, but it is people on the younger side. And the third thing I think is money, just because, like I said, when you're a streamer, I think it's all or nothing. You can't stream once a week and expect to get a big audience. But when you're, it forces you to stream every day if you want to grow. And because of that, the money just starts pouring in. You're doing sponsorships, you're doing bumper ads, you're doing all kinds of stuff. You're getting subscriptions on Twitch. If you're doing multi-stream, you're getting highlights on YouTube. You're getting, money from YouTube as well. So yeah, I think I would say large young audience, big corporation, and lots of money really gets you, to meet Cristiano Ronaldo. But that was also kind of a specialized thing that iShowSpeed kind of what do you call that? He kind of paved the way for that because that was like his thing. He was like, oh, I want to meet Ronaldo or whatever. He's like obsessed with soccer. So I think once he did that, it kind of opened the floodgates, and a lot more of these pro sports people and mainstream popular people were like, hey, maybe I can get popular. I can get a few more fans if I go on this random dude's thing.
Yeah, I guess too, streaming is probably a pretty top-heavy industry. Because I think about it, if you're watching one streamer, you can't be watching another streamer at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like if you watch a certain YouTuber, you watch their video that's 20 minutes and then you switch to something else. But streaming, if you're constantly watching, you can't be watching two people at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's because if the few times I've been on Twitch to watch stuff, there's the people at the top with 100,000 viewers, and then you scroll like to the bottom of that page and it's down to like 20, for whatever you're looking for. So I guess maybe it's one of those things where if somebody starts to gain traction and the viewers pile up, it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Because are you going to watch the one with 100,000 people or the one with 20,
Yeah. Or at the same time, are you going to watch the guy with 20 or the guy with 1 or 0, Mm-hmm. It is definitely an exponential thing because, again, in my personal experience doing Twitch, YouTube was a little different because people would come in and go and stuff, but Twitch was like, it would go 0 to 1 to 3 to 5 to, it was like, it was just exponential. And, there is kind of an effect where if something appears more popular, it appears more appealing, which sucks. But when you're live streaming, that is it's more intimate, And again, in my personal experience, the people who watched my live streams consistently were the people who joined my Discord, were the people who ended up being kind of like my friends at the time. And I ended up, playing games with them. And then there were like younger kids who would join in and like want to play too. And I'm like, you guys are like, 8 years old. I first of all, I shouldn't be playing games with 8-year-old kids. Second of all, like, you're gonna throw it, man. Like, I know you kids are probably better at this game than me, but you won't understand my strats, man.
Yeah, you don't need any Dr. Disrespect accusations coming your way.
No way.
Yeah, it seems like what is the deal with successful people and minors? It seems like all these people, I don't understand. Everybody's got an accusation case against them. You got Drake, you got Dr. Disrespect, the whole Diddy thing. I mean,
well, Diddy. Now, this is, even though this is a recording, this is off the record, but also on the record. I think Diddy was you can censor this if you don't want this on your channel, but
All right.
it was kind of like an Epstein thing where, forces, behind the scenes used that to get leverage on popular people as a means of kind of putting a fail-safe in place in case they needed to kind of pivot the culture in a certain way or affect it in a certain way. That's my tinfoil hat thing.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what all the details were on that, but yeah, no, I did read a little bit about it, and I think you're right. It's kind of just another one of those networks.
Yeah, where let's get blackmail on everybody so that we have
Yeah.
control over them in case we want them to do something in the future,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
No,
little...
we get way more tinfoil hat on this channel, so that's light
Okay.
compared to some other things. Don't
Yeah,
worry about that.
I wasn't sure how far you wanted to go with that. But yeah, it's I mean, that's a good strategy, You invite a bunch of people to a party, and again, even if they don't say anything about what they're seeing, they still saw it and they're still accountable because the whole, evil men stand by, or what is it? There's some quote about how evil men basically sit by and do nothing about the evil stuff they see, So that's why people are like, oh, these Epstein parties and stuff, this politician didn't say anything, they're just as accountable. And I would say, yeah, they are. And because of that fact, because someone like me can say that they're accountable, that's leverage over that person, That's a bunch of people pointing their fingers and saying, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah.
And having that kind of power over somebody, even if they didn't take part in the act themselves, it's power, man.
Yeah. Definitely. I love to see tinfoil hat content. I do, though, think sometimes people are wearing the wrong tinfoil hat. And the latest one I've seen, do you know about the Michael Rubin white party?
No.
So Michael Rubin he owns Fanatics, which makes like all the jerseys and stuff for like basically every major sport.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and he's got a ton of celebrity connections as well. And every year in the Hamptons, he throws a party at his big house, and you get like really weird invitations. Like he commissioned an artist to like paint portraits for everyone that was invited, and like sent them custom Nike shoes. And a lot of people are like, Michael Rubin is the next Epstein. This whole thing seems sketchy. And you have people showing up to this. It's mostly athletes and actors. And I think people are wearing the wrong tinfoil hat on that one, because there's some there's celebrities, but there's also a lot of maybe B tier, C tier celebrities. Like, it's not like presidents are going to Michael Rubin's house. It's just, I think it's just a big photo op. It's just an opportunity for everyone, all these famous people. Oh, look, we're all famous too,
Kind of like a golf tournament type of thing.
Yeah. And I'm getting all these videos where people are putting like the creepy TikTok audio over the NBA players and actors taking pictures in all white. And I think people are missing the target on that one, honestly.
Yeah. I also get a lot of like, conspiracy stuff on my TikTok, and like, maybe 10% of it is like actually, there. And then I see people posting conspiracy type of stuff like flat earth stuff on TikTok. And then in the comments, people are saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And the person who posted it likes it and reacts and says like, yeah, you're right. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like somebody's grandma is like, gonna go climb the ice wall, man.
Yeah. Personally, when I see stuff like that on my feed, I always watch it, and I usually always like it, even if it's the dumbest and craziest thing I've ever seen, because I want to continue to see that stuff. It's really entertaining, and there's a 50-50 chance that when you go to the comment section, it's going to be everyone saying, either watching this made me feel smart, or people going, you, sir, have been blessed by God. Please continue to spread the message.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a win-win. I love to see it. It's primetime entertainment.
Yeah, well, and it's also like it's a test of your will, because it's like, what are you willing to believe, Like if you're willing, if you get tricked on something, because again, I've heard some pretty decent arguments about the flat earth. I mean, they get debunked pretty quickly, but, they had me for like, a millisecond, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting test. I just hope that I don't have like undiagnosed schizophrenia, because one of these days it's going to trip something and I'm going to go down a freaking rabbit hole.
Yeah. I will say, it'd be kind of awesome if the Earth was flat. Have you seen the map where like there's the Earth in the center and then the ice wall, and then they're like there are 20 more continents they don't want me to know about. Like
it's like Estonia too.
Yes. I kind of hope that's true. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
hey,
would
I
I
mean,
go on the ice wall? No. I'd rather just, sit here and do nothing. But if someone else wants to do it and live stream it on Twitch, then I'll watch Twitch.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's important too to stay open to that kind of stuff, because like, I don't know. I mean, not open as in like, believe it, but it's like you can't 100% deny it, because there is a sliver of a chance that our whole history has been like fabricated and everything has just been carefully, simulated or whatever. I mean, everything these days kind of is simulated with the economy and the big corporations and everything, but yeah, it is just a nice mental exercise. It kind of taps into the same, like comic book nerd side of my brain that's like, what if Goku and Jesus got in a fight?
Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah. What was the book growing up? Like the Lion versus Tiger book that every kid read. But yeah, what was I gonna say?
I mean,
I don't know.
I got back to the Dr. Disrespect thing. I don't think that was like a CIA thing. I think that he and, again, Dream, I don't know the whole thing on Dream, so this is kind of just like an out there, thing. Sorry, Dream, if you're listening to this and you've been proven innocent or whatever. But I think that, the internet is kind of a haven for, quote unquote weirdos,
Absolutely.
And I'm not afraid to say, like, I'm part of that. Growing up, I was watching cat memes. I was obsessed with, YouTube and all that stuff. But I think that someone put it, I don't know who it was, but they said that content creators are steeped in self-worth issues, basically. And it's like, I think that a lot of people who are lonely or outcast or something find content creation to be like kind of a comfort thing or like an artistic outlet or something. And, again, for me, it was kind of like that when I was a kid. I liked making videos and stuff because I could be more of myself than I could at school or whatever else. But I think that also draws a little more of the creepy people like that in with it. So, I don't know. And then you got people like EDP, who he obviously got called out on a bunch of stuff. I think that he just kind of stumbled into fame. He was just kind of a goofy, kind of stupid guy who, he was just so funny. He was like a lol cow. People just loved to watch him. And it was only a matter of time before something like that happened. Dr. Disrespect, I don't know, man. I think maybe it was like an attention thing where he just got attention from a girl, didn't care that she was under 18, maybe said a few things he shouldn't have, and now look where that got you, man. I don't know. That's my view on it.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing when those allegations surfaced or whatever, and he comes on Twitter and just goes, "Yeah, I did it." Like,
yeah,
that was the most, the least defensive thing I've ever seen in a situation like that. Usually, these people get accused of something and they put on fake tears, make a dumb apology video with a black thumbnail. No, I don't want to say I respect it, because I don't want to say that about that topic, but the fact that he just comes out and is like, yeah, what are you going to do? Like, it was very different.
I don't know. I kind of disagree a little bit, because I saw it as like a, guy who got caught cheating. Now, I think Dr. Disrespect got caught cheating in the past already, but it was one of those things where it was like, was I at this girl's house? Yes. Was it 3 a.m? Yes. Was my Fitbit tracking 5 miles run in the span of like an hour? Yes. But I didn't do anything, I swear. It was like, okay, man, like, just that, did I blank? Yes. Like, I've heard that. I've seen that and heard that so many times. So when he said, was I messaging an underage fan? Yes. Did I say things that were probably inappropriate? Yes. I was like, all right, man, like, you don't need to go any further. Like, we can all see what's going on here. And then, the whole, like, there was no intent. It's like, okay, if you've seen To Catch a Predator, again, I forget who brought that up, but, how many times have have the Predators on To Catch a Predator said, well, there was no intent, man. Or, did I invite her to my house? Yeah. Did I say that I wanted to, explicit? Yes. It's like...
Yeah. No, sir, I brought the pizza and the condoms and the duct tape and the video camera to the underage girl's house, but that has no correlation, sir.
Yeah. Did I say that I wanted to swing her around until all the blood rushed to her head and then she, I don't know.
But I didn't do it, Chris Hansen. I didn't do it. Yeah. I wish they never stopped that show, because now you have a lot of amateur To Catch a Predators that go about it, and they're just, some of them are better than others, but wasn't it a whole thing that like the guys that caught EDP themselves had like allegations or something like that? I forget.
I don't know, but I know if you do that kind of amateur stuff, you are putting yourself in a lot of danger.
Yeah.
One thing that brought, because I was always kind of like a vigilante crusader supporter type person, but then I worked at Weiss Markets. Shout out to Weiss Markets. And they were like, if somebody's shoplifting, don't chase them out. And I was like, why not? Like, shouldn't you tackle them and get justice and take the moment to be a hero? Like, come on, you only get so many opportunities to be a hero, and I don't want to be, an HOA manager one day and go screaming at some kids as my hero moment. I'd like to tackle some shoplifter. And they were like, yeah, well, we had a manager a couple towns over who got shot. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you want to satisfy that like Batman instinct, but it's not always smart.
Yeah, you got to actually be Batman. And Batman gets shot a lot.
Yeah, and it's like the same fantasy as like fantasizing about being the person who stops the school shooter.
I have a story about that, but sorry, I'll let you.
No, that's it. I'd love to hear the story.
So in middle school, this is really bad. In middle school, I was called down to the principal's office under not suspicion of being a school shooter, but concern that I may possibly want to shoot up the school.
Wow.
Because now, listen, I was an all right kid. I mean, I was a little weird, but I was all right, whatever. You can have your own speculations about what kind of kid I was in middle school, but me and my friends were writing this comic, and we were passing it around to each other and writing a few panels each. It was really, it was a cool idea. I was like, hey, we can all have our, we can write the story, and then the other person continues the story. Well, I made the story about a school shooter coming to the school, and I had me and my friends' names all marked, and then I had us hiding under a table at lunch, and the school shooter was like shooting, and then I passed on the comic. I was like, all right, guys, how are we going to beat the school shooter? Like, whatever. And my friend dropped it in the hallway. And yeah, my name was right on the front. So the assistant principal found it, called me down, and was like, have you been having any violent thoughts lately? And I was like, just as many as I normally do. Why? And they were like, we found this. And I was like, oh. So yeah, that's the story of how I was almost arrested, I guess.
That's always fun. Yeah, maybe choose a new topic for the next comic installment.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was pretty bad. But hey, I mean, I made it out alive. There was actually some kind of other school shooting related stuff that happened at my schools growing up. Kids threatening and doing all that kind of stuff, and it's just a good lesson in just don't even you can joke about it, but don't joke about it.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think I was either in 3rd or 4th grade, I was walking down the hallway after lunch, being herded like animals, single file, as elementary schoolers are. And we're walking right by the principal's office, and I'm not going to say the kid's name, but he was like a buddy of mine back then, and he was walking, and the principal comes out of her door, and just as she did, he fell or something or tripped, and bullets fell out of his sweatshirt right in front of the principal. And he had to explain a long story to her in her office about how he was hunting the previous day and that those were still left in there. But that was a fun story.
Oh, man.
And I knew the kid. The story was true. He was not gonna do anything with them, but definitely definitely put some alarms off there.
Yeah, we had some kids do that. They dropped, they dropped bullets. It was like this big scandalous event, and it's like, it was like somebody from the hunting team had just like brought some up from the basement or something and dropped them, and it's like, I don't know. I think it was the narrative was more fun than the actual situation,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from a pretty country area, so the hunting excuse worked pretty easily.
Okay.
I don't think they questioned it too much.
Yeah, my area was a mix of a lot of things. We had country, but we also had city. We also had rich and poor and all kinds of things. So I guess it was diverse enough where they could handle the situations pretty easily. But I know there are some like rich places around me that if that happened, oh Lord, man, the whole state would have been on lockdown.
Yeah, you would have had every parent writing a letter, like, would not have been good.
Yeah.
So,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I usually keep these episodes pretty bite-sized. We're at like around the 50-minute mark or so. Unless you have anything else that you wanted to tackle or bring up.
Oh, nothing I can think of other than go watch all of the other episodes of Alternative Jargon. I've been kind of working my way through them a little bit. I definitely like your comedy style, I would say. Just the sarcastic current event style. I don't know. I just think it's funny. So yeah, all you viewers out there, if this is the first one or even the 20th one you've seen, definitely go watch the rest of them. Give David here some sweet watch time.
Yeah, and same for Luke. Once again, LukeWilsonTV on YouTube. Are you anywhere else? Are you on Instagram and stuff like that?
Yeah, I do. So Instagram is more of like a hub. It's like a behind-the-scenes type of thing. So I post, like, if I make some cool graphics, I'll post them on there. If I'm doing events or something, I'll post them on there. But other than that, I do TikTok, which is just kind of like, I do some random video game type of stuff. Just bust out the camera and talk to it. But no, YouTube's the main thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, go check them out. Thank you for the time today, Luke. I don't do guest stuff very often. But I knew I'd get a good conversation out of you. So,
yeah, man.
We'll talk again soon. I might have another guest coming up soon, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, man. We got to have you on the telecast at some point.
Absolutely. I was watching the one with you and Brady the other day for a little bit.
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Yeah, a lot of creative minds between the two of you. So, yeah. We will see you next week then. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.